Hello friends, my name is Shayla and today I'm here to wrap up my reading for the month of June. In the month of June, I read quite a bit. I do not have my final stats, so I will be doing a mid-year flip through of my bullet journal, so I will have my mid-year stats and my June stats for you in that video. So I'm sorry I don't have them for this one, but they will be coming in a video probably in the next week or so. I read a lot more in the second half of the month than I initially thought, and a lot of it's books. So we're actually going to start with the manga and then move into the books. So if you're only here for the books, here is your timestamp, but I hope you will stay tuned for all of it because I really enjoyed my reads this month. So let's start off with the digital manga titles that I read this month. The first one we're going to talk about is Beastars Volume 7. I received an early copy via NetGalley for this. It does come out later in July, and I honestly, genuinely enjoyed this volume. The direction the series has gone between volumes 6 and 7, I really am enjoying the direction of. It's almost got that like darker, almost mafia feel to it, and you were getting hints of that earlier, but I love the way things are playing out, and we're kind of cycling back to what happened in the beginning of Beastars, and if you're acquainted with the series, you can understand what I'm saying with not me being spoilery. So we're looping back around to the beginning and going back to kind of that situation and diving more deeply into that situation. So I'm really excited for the direction of the series. I know in Japan, it's like volume 17 or 18 is what they have. So we'll be getting volumes of Beastars for quite a while. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that, but right now I'm actually genuinely excited about it. And it's going to be an adventure all around. So I'm just really excited. Next up, we have our Thirsty Thursday choice, and that is Hide and Seek. This is a boys love manga, a yaoi, and this one was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Overall, I'm giving it 4 stars across the board, all 3 volumes. This one I really enjoyed. We have a man who runs like a dime store, I guess. So they sell like little candies and toys to children, and then they also sell cigarettes. Like, it's just a thing. We don't have many of them in the US anymore, and I think there really aren't many in Japan anymore, but there's this particular one that this man runs, and he's a single dad. He's got a daughter, and a doctor comes into town, and he kind of looks really grumpy and surly all the time, so he comes in to buy toys to give to the kids to help the kids warm up to him, and they kind of form a friendship over that, and it blossoms into more. The organic feel of the series and naturally how the relationship progresses felt really nice. Nothing felt rushed. There are some problems within the series, but I will link the Thirsty Thursday live show, so you can definitely go and check that out if you want more in-depth and detailed thoughts on this particular series. That's all for the digital titles. Let's jump into the physical ones. So I'm going to briefly mention that I did reread Dream and Sun. I have an entire reaction vlog to this, so I will leave that linked for you guys to check out. Next on the list, we have How Do We Relationship Volume 1. This is a really cute Yuri manga with 2 girls in college. They go to college, they're first years in college, and they start to form this friendship. They just start interacting together. They end up in the same club, and then they both realize that they both like girls, and they decide to try dating each other. And the way their relationship progresses is really nice and realistic in a lot of ways for the situation that they're in. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but this is really sweet. One is super outgoing and the other is the more quiet, demure kind of personality type. So you get both in this one. And I just really like how they play off each other. The art style is super cute. I really just think it's a lot of fun and highly recommend you guys check this one out. Next up we have Prince Freya Volume 2. Yes, Viz kindly sent me this one, as well as this one, and I also did get an early digital copy of this one. I've mentioned before in my releases on my radar video, I still loved this, but I had a bit of a panic attack at the end. I'm still kind of freaking out over how this volume ends. So yes, I still love the series. This is going in a direction I didn't expect it to, I think is the easiest way to explain how I feel about it. But it's good. It's on that darker side. It's more Requiem of the Rose King than Yona of the Dawn, I guess is an easy way to put it. And I love it. Yes, it triggered a little bit of panic when I finished reading the end of this volume. But man, I still really enjoy the series as a whole. It's really good. And yes, there's very vague tweets about this as I finished reading this on my Twitter. And if you want to hunt for it, you can. But yeah, it's good. That's about all I can say without spoiling things. I loved Volume 1. I still enjoy the series. I still recommend it. It didn't go the direction I expected, but I'm okay with it. Next up, we have the next 2 volumes of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. I've read the first 2 volumes a while back, and I recently picked up Volume 3 and Volume 4, and I read them. All of this pretty much is contained within the anime if you've watched the anime, as well as a few other stories that weren't quite as funny, which is probably why they didn't make it into the anime. But this is a really fun one about a high school boy who is a shoujo mangaka and the girl who has a crush on him and all of their friends. It's really fun. It's definitely shenanigans. The stories are really fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to continuing on with the series. Yen Press publishes tend to be a little on the pricey side, so I just pick them up when I have a little bit extra or when they're on sale. So next we have Komi Can't Communicate Volume 7. Y'all know I love Komi. Komi's great. We do get more Komi and Tadano action in this particular volume, so my heart was particularly happy. And yes, in this we deal with like Christmas holidays and shopping for Christmas presents and things like that. All of the scenarios that Komi's in within this volume were really just fun, and I really enjoyed it. So I do recommend sticking with Komi if you've made it to like volume 4 or 5. 6 and 7 go back to more the early volumes, so. And then last but not least for the manga stack, we have the Fat Cat Collection Volume 1 of What's Michael. This is like Garfield meets Cheese Sweet Home. So it has some of the fun comedic satire stuff that's contained within Garfield, while also dealing with just normal cat shenanigans in like Cheese Sweet Home and stuff. So I highly recommend checking out this series if you haven't. It's really fun. It's an older title. It's by Makoto Kobayashi. This one's being printed by Dark Horse. I don't know when we're getting volume 2. These are heavy. They're a bit on the pricey side, so just pick them up when they're on sale if you're on a budget, or try to get it digitally. I don't know if it's any different digitally. I don't know how Dark Horse does that. But I really enjoyed it. It was a fun time to read through it, and I recommend. Alrighty, that is everything for the manga. Let's go ahead and dive into the books. Let's start off by talking about the digital titles. So the first one we're going to mention is Spellmonger by Terry Mancour. I do have a dedicated review coming to the channel soon, so once that is available, I will link it for you. But this is about Minolin, the village spellmonger, who ends up in deeper than he ever thought when he took the job in an outlying area of the duchies, and ends up basically being thrown into full-on battle. It's really interesting. Again, I'm not going to say too much here, but I will link the review once it's available. Next, we have Return to Magnolia Harbor. This is by Hope Ramsey. I really enjoyed this book a lot. I found it really engaging. I wasn't putting it down at all. And it's a great romance in which we're dealing with someone who has had an accident and is, I don't know how you would word this in a sensitive way, so I don't know how to say this, but he was injured in an accident and that affects the way he walks now. But all he wants to do is retreat to this island off the coast of this town that his family's grown up in and live by himself in this beautiful house. And he ends up hiring someone that he knew in high school to be the architect, and it is their romance. It's definitely enemies to lovers. It's so good, and I really enjoy it, so I highly recommend checking it out. And I believe that's all digitally. So let's go ahead and dive into the physicals. The first one we're going to talk about is Cowboy Strong by Carolyn Brown. This is from the Longhorn Canyon series. This one is Paxton and Alana's story. So if you're familiar with the series at all, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But essentially, we're dealing with this cowboy who's been in love with this girl who lived across the fence from him for forever. And he finally has an opportunity to start a relationship with her when she approaches him and says, hey, my dad has cancer. He's going to die. The one thing he wants to see before I die is that I'm married and taken care of. Will you be my fake fiance, essentially? So this is a fake engaged, friends to lovers romance. It's so good. Oh my gosh. I just finished this. I totally cried at the end. It was fantastic. 4.5 stars. Highly recommend the Longhorn Canyon series if you haven't tried it. Next we have A Good Duke is Hard to Find by Christina Britton. This is a historical romance in which we have Lenora, and she's continuously left at the altar, and so she wonders if she'll ever get married. but she needs to escape from where she's at. And so obviously we have someone who's like next in line for dukedom and all the historical romance shenanigans. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Not perfect, but again, I think it'll be really fun. Next we have In a Badger Way by Shelley Lauriston. This is the second book in the Honey Badger Chronicles series, and this is a series I'm like low-key obsessed with right now. So basically this is a tiger honey badger shifter having a romance with a panda shifter, and the shenanigans that ensue in this series are fantastic. I read the first book, Hot and Badgered, a couple months ago, and then I finally picked this one up. The audiobooks are choice on this if you are interested in the audiobooks for them. But yeah, this was really good. I really enjoyed it. Shen is a great character. I just get along with Shen really a lot. He reminds me a lot of my own husband, and I think that's why I enjoyed this so much. Just his personality, and yeah, it's good. Highly recommend. All right, time for some more Christine Feehan. So I read another Carpathia novel. This one's Dark Legacy. And in this one, it was Emmeline, who had basically been kidnapped by a vampire and tortured for information, I guess you could say. And it's her romance with one of the old Carpathian warriors who lived in a monastery for a long time. They kind of have branches in the Carpathian novels, and this was kind of the start of the monastery ones, if I remember correctly. And it's so good. I really enjoyed this. I really got emotional at certain points in this one. So I do highly recommend checking out the more recent Carpathian novels. Again, the older ones have some toxic masculinity kind of stuff that isn't really addressed very well, because when it was written, we weren't having those kinds of discussions in the world. But the more modern ones, the more recent ones, definitely call that kind of behavior out. So I really appreciate them for what they're doing. And then the next one is Leopard's Run from the Leopards series. And this one is Timur and Ash's story. And this is basically leopard shifters. And usually the two that I've read so far in this series, the woman is about to go into heat for the first time. And when that happens, like, their leopards come to the surface and like they just throw off all their crazy hormones and call all the other leopards to them. And it's about them finding like their mates and all those kinds of things. So it's very like primal, I guess is the easiest way to describe it. But they're really fun. I really enjoy them. These aren't going to be for everybody, but I'm just putting it out there. I like them. I have a weird kink, I guess. I don't know. Next up, I did read the next two books in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. So I read Lover Unbound and Lover Enshrined. I do have an entire reaction vlog dedicated to these, so I will leave that linked for you to check out. Next, we have Intercepted by Alexa Martin. This is a romance in which we're following a woman who's been dating a football player for about 10 years, finds out he's continued to cheat on her even though she's called him on it before, and she breaks up with him. While all this is happening, a guy that she had hooked up with once when she was off again with this boyfriend ends up getting traded to his same team. And because she's broken up with this guy and nobody likes him, she's able to rekindle her friendship and relationship with the other guy that she likes a lot better. And Gavin is his name. And Gavin's great. I really liked him as a character. And Marley is sassy. I love her. We love to see a sassy main character. It's great. And yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed this. Highly recommend it. And last but not least, I did reread the entirety of the Renegades trilogy by Marissa Meyer. This is a superhero-based series in which we're following heroes and villains. And are the villains really villains? Are the heroes really heroes? Things get kind of muddy. And basically we have a villain going undercover to work with the heroes to infiltrate things. And that's a very basic synopsis of this. But it's a solid 3.5 to 4 stars across the board for me. On a reread, I did not enjoy these as much as I enjoyed them the first time. And I do think that's because this feels so reminiscent of another series that I like better, that I just think these don't hold up for me as much as I love Marissa Meyer. These remind me a lot of the Renegades trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I do enjoy the way things are presented in the other novel better. And I don't know if I'm just burnt out on superhero stuff, and that's part of the reason why. I don't know. That's kind of my general thoughts. I will give more detailed thoughts in my reread roundup that'll be coming your way soon. I've got lots to film, guys. So friends, that is everything that I read in the second half of the month. If you're interested in what I read in the first half of the month, I will leave that linked for you. And if I missed anything, I will tag Goodreads reviews down below. I don't think I did, but in case I did, I will just put that disclaimer down there. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you read in the month of June that you loved, and I will see you in the next one.